Hi ladies, so circulatory system. I'm going to do a little mind map on this, okay, for you? Okay, so circulatory system. So let's start off with the blood. All right, now I know that in your book this is divided into different chapters. So, but the blood there's not a huge amount you need to know about the blood, okay? So you need to know, first of all, about its makeup. So the different parts that make it up and their functions, all right? So it's made up of plasma. Okay, that's the liquid that transports cells. Alright, it also transports glucose and antibodies and other materials too, okay? Then what do we have? We have your red blood cells. Okay, contain hemoglobin. That's what makes them red. Hemoglobin, hopefully I'm spelling that right. Hemoglobin, B-I-N. Okay, and that is an iron containing red compound that is there to help transport oxygen. So oxygen transport, so that goes between hemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin in the lungs, okay, and then obviously goes to tissues that don't have enough oxygen and releases it there. So it's your red blood cells. Remember, red blood cells are made in the bone marrow, and they have a really unusual biconcave shape. They're biconcave. Okay, they're biconcave, and they are made in the bone marrow. They don't have a nucleus that allows them to squeeze into tiny little capillaries and be able to move through very small spaces and able to change shape slightly, okay? Which means because they don't have a nucleus, they don't live very long. So they're broken down by the liver and form what's called bilirubin, which goes into your feces, okay? So they only have, I think it's a lifespan of 30 days or something like that. They can't live very long because they can't repair themselves because they don't have nuclei. Then you've got your white blood cells. Okay, and white blood cells, again, made in the bone marrow. There's lots of different types of white blood cells. That's kind of more in the immune system topic, okay? And that's for fighting infection. Fighting infection. So you've got your monocytes, lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and all that, okay? And phagocytes and stuff, okay? So it's your white blood cells. Then we have your platelets. So your platelets, girls, that is for clotting blood. So again, they're made in the bone marrow and they go through a process called fragmentation, okay, to make them. So they're really important as well to prevent infection, so they're forming scabs and things like that. Now remember, we also have a term called serum. So serum is the plasma, okay, with all the clotting agents removed. Okay, so plasma with no clotting agents. Okay, so that's plasma there. All right, now let's think of our blood types. Now this is something we spent a bit of time in class on, but really there's not a huge amount you need to know. You need to know the types. So A, B, B, and O. Okay, and then you also have rhesus positive or negative. All right, and now remember, you need to know the universal donor, the universal acceptor. So universal, oh, my spelling's terrible today. So universal donor, that's me, O negative. Okay, so that means somebody that is O that doesn't have the rhesus factor, and universal acceptor. So that's a good one to have because you'll never be stuck for blood if you went for an operation, okay, is AB positive. Okay, so universal donor, universal acceptor there. Now, so that is your blood and your blood types. Remember, we said it's really important that if you're getting an operation that you get the right type of blood, because otherwise you'll get clotting and your antibodies will react against that blood type and you can have a very serious effect, for example, like a stroke or a heart attack, okay? Now, circulatory system, so the heart. Let's look at the heart. So remember, the heart is a system, girls, and systems are made of different organs that work together for a similar function. So the circulatory system is made of the heart, the blood vessels and the blood. Okay, so each one of those is considered an organ on its own, and each one of those organs are made of tissues. So remember the way kind of more more complex organisms are organized. So the heart, girls, I'm going to draw this as simply as I can, okay? Now I haven't left myself a huge amount of space for now. Okay. So I'm going to divide this into 4 sections. Now remember, the first thing to remember, girls, when you're drawing the heart is that you have to remember that the left and right side are the opposite to what you think, okay? So this is my left side here, okay? So that has to be the right side of the heart, and there's my left side there, which is my right side, all right? Now the top chambers are called atria. Okay, so it's your left atrium. That's obviously your right atrium, okay? The lower chambers are called ventricles. Okay, now let's think of the little thing that separates the two different circuits that make up our circulatory system, girls, and that is called your septum, just like in your nose, okay? Septum, okay? And then we've got your different vessels that feed the heart, all right? So you've got your vena cava. Okay, you have your, so blood comes in here from the rest of the body, it's deoxygenated, comes down here, comes up here, and obviously I haven't drawn this the best, but it comes back up here and goes out this way, okay? So that blood then goes to your lungs, so that's called your pulmonary artery. Okay, so pulmonary artery. That means pulmonary means it goes to the lungs, artery means it goes away from the heart. Then it comes back in here from the lungs, oxygenated. Okay, I don't have a red pen, unfortunately. And that's called your pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. Okay, and it goes out to the rest of the blood. So it goes up this way to the aorta. It goes to the rest of the body through the aorta, okay? So they're your main bits that people get confused. Vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, and your aorta, okay? Now your two large valves here, girls, okay? On the right hand side is called your tricuspid. Tricuspid valve. Okay, and then on the other side it's called your bicuspid valve. Okay, they're two large valves there. We also have two little semilunar valves, which I'm not going to label here. Two little semilunar valves in both your aorta and your pulmonary artery here, okay? Then, girls, the kind of other thing to note about the heart is that on the left hand side and your ventricle, it's much thicker wall than the right hand side. That's because it has to pump blood all the way around to your toes, to the rest of your body, whereas your right hand side of your heart only has to pump to the lungs, which is your neighbours of your heart, so it's much easier to do, okay? Okay, so that is the structure of the heart that you need to know. Now, if you're asked about the dissection that we do to the heart, girls, you're talking about using a scalpel, obviously, okay, to cut from your apex all the way to your blood vessels at the top of the heart. You open it up and then you draw a very similar picture to this. All right, okay, so just like if they asked you to draw the structure of the heart, and you talk about how to show where the semilunar valves are and how where your tricuspid and bicuspid valves are. Okay, so that's your dissection of the heart. You can tell when we're doing the dissection of the heart which side is the front facing side and which side is the back facing side. So the front facing side is the one that's facing the ribs on forward. Okay, it has a curve to it, whereas the reverse of the heart has a flattened back. Okay, so you can always tell the front and the back of the heart. Then you also, when you're doing your dissection, you look for your arteries and your veins. Your arteries, if you stick your fingers in, you can get all the way down to the ventricles. Your veins, you can only get into your atria. Okay, so that's another way of determining the valves too. Okay, and determining your vessels. Now let's go to how the heart beats. Now how the heart beats, girls, there's kind of a number of different stages to this. Now what we're going to look at here, girls, okay, is we're going to look at how, there we go, that's your AV node here in your heart, okay, so that's a little bunch of nerve fibers here, AV node, and then you've got your SA node here. All right, another bunch of fibers close to the septum, and just between your atrium, your right atrium and your right ventricle, and we've got this little kind of bunch of nerves that run down the septum and go up the walls of the ventricles. These are called your Purkinje fibers. Okay, they are linked to your SA node, your AV node there. Okay, oh sorry, I'm getting my nodes mixed up. So this is your AV node, this is your SA node. So your Purkinje fibers are linked to your SA node.